Welcome to Infinity and Beyond, a podcast that takes a look back at the works of Pixar animation before moving onward to their newest films. We return to everyone's favorite superpowered family today with Incredibles 2, Jack Jack Boogaloo.
Jack Jack Boogaloo.
All right, who the gosh darn heck are we?
I'm Daniel Hudson.
I'm Nora Jones with, say your name. Emily Perpetua. Emily Perpetua.
Well, howdy there, stranger.
I already said your full name on the podcast, by the way, on accident, so they probably already hunted you down. Actually, like twice.
Wait, no, that was the time it got deleted. Daniel edited it out.
No, it's still in there.
Oh, that's right.
I only edit out location titles.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, that's right. Nora and I
People
are both
with
1
full
and 1.
names have to fend for themselves.
Oh, yeah, we did say come see Les Mis, and then, I accidentally said the location. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That was our first episode.
Yeah, I know. It was The Incredibles. That was my first episode.
It's all full circle.
Wow.
Because now we're back.
Thank you.
Also, Jaren, you never said your name.
Oh, hi. I'm Jaron Gravely.
Hooray!
Beautiful.
About 75% less sick than last week.
Yay. Wow.
Okay.
You have to move closer to the microphone so they can hear you.
Okay. Do you do ASMR?
No, we don't do ASMR. That's
We
not
try not to.
Yeah,
We
no,
try
we have
not to.
we have before, but that's
Often
not
fail.
what this podcast is. Please stop clenching your teeth.
No, I'm not clenching, I'm biting.
I hate you. Sorry.
Well-
Emily ended up at my house tonight, and I made her do the podcast with me for anyone that's listening. She's a beautiful creation.
Do you ever do shout outs?
Shout outs?
Like, hi, Chloe, hi.
I mean, Avery's already on the podcast, and I shouted out Johnny Deplings, which was my own channel I'm a part of. So
Yeah, I shouted
out,
it out as well. I was like, these guys are really talented. You should watch them.
I shouted out myself.
Yes, Avery was in our Christmas special.
We just do. We shout out whatever, whenever, whoever.
Yeah.
Shout out to air, because I sure love breathing it.
Yep.
Shout out to all the trees who make that air.
Yeah.
There's some
Shout
good
out to
ones.
my mother for being responsible for my existence.
Wow.
Had to make it about mothers, Jaren.
Well, it's not like this movie isn't about a mother.
That is true.
Their mother is an icon. Like, what a feminist queen. We stand. We love
We
her.
stand, we love her.
We love Helen.
Elastigirl is the best.
So
Okay.
shall we discuss, whose turn is it to do the
Yeah.
synopsis?
I think it's Daniel's, but
My
I'm
sick
not
self
wrong.
did last week.
Yeah. It's me.
Good,
Jaren, you
'cause
took
I-
Coco.
I
We
am
forced
good.
Nora to do Cars 3, so...
Yeah, that was cruel. That was really cruel.
Okay, so... Incredibles 2. Our story picks up almost immediately after the first movie ends. The Underminer has undermined a parking lot. Very evil of him. So our super family dons their clothes without even really thinking about it, and they're ready to fight him. Bob and Helen go after him and leave the kids behind to watch Jack Jack, which upsets Violet so much she throws her mask on the ground and reveals her identity to Tony Ridinger.
Tony
Oops.
Ridinger.
She wouldn't reveal her identity if it was Tony Loaf.
You can say that. Emily keeps whispering comments over here, and I'm like, baby, you can say it. It's okay.
Yes, please interrupt me.
She said their masks were pitiful.
Better than Superman's mask, eh?
Oh, yeah.
So, the Underminer isn't undermined this time around. As much as Mr. Incredible tries, he can't exactly win. The Underminer escapes, leaving his giant drill to just crash and do some collateral damage. With Frozone's help, the family manages to stop it before it destroys Town Hall. But they all get caught. It's not good for them.
No.
Frozone manages to slip out, but a limo driver catches up to him and offers him a business proposition. It's not the limo driver's proposition, it's Winston Dever. He'll come back in a bit.
That was his name. I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, you can just call him Win.
Oh, because he wins. Spoil
So the family's in jail. They get yelled at by some cops because that's all the cops are good for in this universe.
it. Yes.
Dicker gets them out, but his program has been disbanded, so they pretty much only have 2 more weeks in their motel before they're completely on their own. And Bob is sure to tell Dicker about Tony seeing Violet's identity, and Dicker takes care of that. A little too well.
Yeah.
So, Bob and Helen are worried about what comes next. Our boy Lucius stops by and tells them about Winston Dever. They all go over. They all go over to Winston Dever's place, meets him and his sister Evelyn, who's definitely not evil, guys.
No.
Nope.
Real.
No.
I'm sorry I laughed. Emily thought Lucius's name was Lucifer in the movie. And it made me
No.
Emily.
laugh. I was quizzing her after the movie and I said, what was Frozone's real name? She said, Lucifer.
No. And it starts with an L. He's voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, but it's
She
not
also
Lucifer.
said, Emily, tell me what you said his superhero name was. Froyo.
It's awful.
She said Froyo's name was Lucifer.
It's awful. Just
All right, let's get
awful.
back to the synopsis.
Sorry, I started laughing.
So Winston Dever proposes that they make superheroes legal again, and they do this by doing illegal superhero work, but not doing it poorly. And he offers Elastigirl to be the frontliner, the frontrunner, the headliner, whatever the word would be in this scenario. He wants Elastigirl to be the one doing the savings, because she is the best at it.
She's a bot.
Absolutely. She's unsure at first because she was kind of hoping the superhero stuff was done. She really doesn't like the thought of breaking the law, but she gets talked into it. So the family gets a new house, courtesy of Winston. It's a
House I would live in. Thank you very much. That's a
It is.
swanky little place.
It is the dopest pad ever.
I like the rocks. The what? Rocks. What rocks?
The rocks inside the house.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
That's
They
right,
have
yeah, I need
rocks.
a big bachelor pad.
I would live in the rocks.
Inside of them? Yes.
Inside the rocks.
Yes.
I'm Patrick Star.
You're Patrick Star.
Maybe it's the way you're dressed. Me. Did you know that Sans' voice came from Patrick?
Did it really?
Yeah.
I love
The
that.
clip of Patrick going, maybe it's the way you're dressed.
Thank you, our resident Undertale nerd.
I actually know Undertale, but I think I've said that before. It's a video game.
It is a video game.
It's because I watched the Dan and
Yes.
Phil Let's Play.
Good job, Nora. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, Undertale's boss.
Alright, so before
What
we
is
got
that
to the topic of
awful
Undertale,
noise? Is that me making that noise?
No.
Okay.
so Elastigirl is flown out to a city that's just riddled with crime. It's a superhero's playground. And she manages to stop a runaway train from crashing and learns that someone called the Screenslaver is doing the nasty things. Meanwhile, Bob is back home trying to manage the kids. He doesn't like the new math. They shouldn't have changed math because math is math. Violet
Listen,
goes
he's
on
a-
her date.
He's a boomer with a point, surprisingly.
Violet goes on her date, except, uh-oh, not really. Tony didn't even call. He didn't show up. What a joke.
We've all been there, haven't we?
And Jack Jack gets into a fight with a raccoon. It's
We've all
That
been
amazing.
there, haven't we?
That is a great scene. It is a beautiful scene. That raccoon is the best.
Yep. So things are going well on Elastigirl's end, and that makes Mr. Incredible not super happy. He's trying though. He really tries. And so Elastigirl gets an interview about the whole train thing, but the screenslaver is back and he's kidnapping an ambassador. But Elastigirl manages to save her pretty well. Very minimal collateral damage yet again, except for that construction site which blows up.
That one, yeah.
And she gets the idea to track the screenslaver, so she does another interview, this time by phone. Tracks down the screenslaver to his place. Gets into a pretty intense fight with him, but manages to catch him after he blows up all of the evidence. But it's okay, because her camera records everything. So it's looking pretty good. Elastigirl is meeting new superheroes who have been underground for a while. And they're getting a lot of support. They're about to get their whole thing situated. Meanwhile, Bob gets a new super suit for Jack Jack, thanks to Edna. And it helps him control his powers a little bit. Or at the very least, it helps make his powers manageable. So, that's right. What happens next? Elastigirl figures out that the screenslaver she fought was not the real screenslaver. It was just somebody else who was being controlled. And our real screenslaver, dun dun dun, it's Evelyn.
Oh no.
It's Evelyn. It's the character whose name is literally Evil Endeavor.
Oh no, that was his mistake.
Yep. So Evelyn reveals herself to be the screenslaver and traps Elastigirl. Does this really, really nice thing that all superheroes do, where they or all supervillains do, where they explain the plan. Gets Elastigirl.
Oh, you don't
all
think they
caught up.
made fun of in the first movie when Frozone's like, "Hey, what does Baron von Ruthless do? He starts monologuing about how feeble I am and how the world will soon
You
be his."
sly dog, you caught me monologuing.
Monologuing.
Oh yeah, I like that line.
So we get Evelyn's plan, and it's basically to discredit superheroes once again by making them look not just incompetent, but outright evil. So she hypnotizes Elastigirl again, and calls Mr. Incredible over to, trick him and get him hypnotized as well. Sends the other superheroes after the kids. And the kids escape in the Incredibile, but Lucius gets captured. The kids go after their parents who are on I don't remember the name of the boat, but they're on a boat where the
They're
documents
on
are
a
being
boat.
Toronto boat.
No, the
We're
name
on a
was
boat.
the name was not Toronto Boat.
They're on a boat.
I thought it was something Endeavor. I don't know. But anyway,
It was something.
Evelyn hypnotizes all the superheroes and diplomats in the room and has the superheroes say a bunch of scary stuff on TV. That makes them bad now. And they take over the ship and plan to crash it into the city. That's a bad. But the kids get on board. They're able to free their parents from the mind control. The whole family works together and they beat back the other superheroes and take their masks off. So they're not hypnotized anymore. Evelyn tries to escape via jet, but Elastigirl catches up to her and frickin' shoots her in the back with a flare gun. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because why
How
not?
did she not die from that? I was very confused.
The first time I watched this movie, I thought Helen straight up killed her. Like I was like, oh shit.
Well, I really didn't realize it till this time. I was like, wow, wait, she really just shot her in the back.
With a flare gun.
Yeah, like how is she not
She
dead?
crashes through the the front of her jet.
How is she not dead?
Well, flare guns
It's
aren't,
still like coming at her like a bullet, though.
flare guns aren't designed to shoot, they're designed to explode, so
But
that
that's even worse.
yeah.
That's even worse.
Alright, so the family manages to stop the boat. They get superheroes legal again. Evelyn is arrested. Winston, he's there.
He's fine. He's rich.
He's taken the fact that his sister's an evil villain in stride, as you do. Anyway, things are good now. Violet manages to get another date with Tony, but some crimes happening, so she and the family rush off to handle that first. And da-da-da-da-da, and the credits.
Yep. Okay, I heard there was like not even like a post-credit scene, but like a 30-second scene where it alludes to a third movie, and my TV literally like shut off and stopped working, so like I couldn't watch it, and I tried to look it up, and the internet wouldn't show me, but I saw like the first 10 seconds of it, and it's like the Underminer comes back. So did y'all watch that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
To be honest, I don't think that's a sequel bait. I think it's just a fun little thing they threw in.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't see Incredibles 3 until Brad Bird has another massive box office bomb.
Or ever, honestly. I'm not quite sure.
Well, what was the bomb that caused this movie?
Tomorrowland, aka the PER, or the
Tomorrowland.
PRE,
You mean the robot pervert film?
the pervert
Yep.
robot experience, as you called it.
That was awful. That was truly horrible. Did you see Tomorrowland, Emily? It was bad. George Clooney, like, is in love with a 12-year-old. What? Yeah, it's gross. I mean, she's like a robot that he, like, knew as a child since they stayed the same age, but it's nasty.
Questionable decisions were made in that movie, that is for sure.
It was bad. It was really
I'm
bad.
also bitter because it's what's responsible for canceling a third Tron movie.
Oh, I still gotta watch that.
I was about to say, oh hey Nora, do you hate money?
No, I want a crisp dollar bill.
Do you know how many McChicken that will buy you? 1.
I don't like McDonald's.
Okay, what's something that costs $1?
Anything at the Dollar Tree.
Okay, a small price to pay for something at the Dollar Tree.
Cool.
Yep.
Daniel, you want to tell us about the background stuff?
Well, there's only a little bit to really go into there. We already talked about Tomorrowland bombing, which pretty much put Brad Bird in the same spot Andrew Stanton is when he made Finding Dory. It's just a case of, if you can't make money on your next film, you don't get to make any more films. So Brad came back to Pixar. Basically with the sole purpose of making a $1 billion film. What's making the most $1 billion these days? It's superhero films and sequels to superhero films. And guess what Brad Bird can make?
A sequel.
To a superhero film.
But listen, this is my favorite Pixar sequel by far.
Really?
Yeah, and okay, like Toy Story 2 is good, but I love The Incredibles, like just the premise of The Incredibles more.
Oh, so do I.
But I really liked this movie, like a lot.
I'd like to hear why.
It didn't disappoint me at all in the slightest. I would argue, Toy Story 2 is probably the next upcoming. But I also like that their animation is not drastically different from the first movie. I don't like how you can compare Toy Story 4 to the original Toy Story, and it looks very different.
Well, that's because there's almost 25 years of difference.
Yeah, I know, but there's still a big gap between the first and the second one, and it's
because there's 24 years.
Yes, but it's still a large gap. The first and the second Toy Stories even looked slightly different.
Yeah,
I don't hear like paper rustling.
And this was a greater gap than the first and second Toy Stories.
True. Although there is an obvious visible, improvement in this movie over the first.
I mean, I would say the visuals in this one are a lot different from the first.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
They are to an extent, but the character design at least is
well, yeah, that's because
the same.
they
They
use.
couldn't really change.
I mean, they look the way they design these characters is draw them in like traditional 2D format first, and then translate that to 3D. That's
Because
a pretty.
because The Incredibles 1 was going to be a 2D animated film at first.
Yeah.
Like, if you make something as stylized as that, then it's gonna hold up no matter what format you put it in.
Yeah.
The thing I would say, like, the first Incredibles, love it to bits as much as I do. It can be a very empty film sometimes. There's not a lot of environmental detail, simply because the limits of the technology at the time. And you look at this film, and it's so dense. Every frame is so
Yes.
much going on.
They did improve. I didn't have a problem with the things they improved on it. I think it added to the movie. I just like how
From a visual standpoint, you can say this about every single one of Pixar's films over the last several, that it's the best looking Pixar film yet, and I will say that about Toy Story 4 next week. That's Pixar's best looking film. But
Yeah, this film benefited from having two main cinematographers, one specifically for camera work and one specifically for lighting.
the cinematography is beautiful in this.
Oh yeah. They
So
did
many,
very good with that.
so
I
many
love Brad
pink
Bird's,
clouds in the morning sky. I love it.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
No, I
And
really
also
like
the
Brad Bird's directing style, especially in the action sequences, like when Elastigirl's fighting him in Screensaver. Is that it?
so good. The
That
scene,
first
the flashing scene.
Yep.
Mhm.
The
I
my
rarely
favorite-
see things in 3D, but seeing this in 3D was fantastic.
And the
you
Elastigirl
saw the
cycle. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Cycle.
yeah.
They even used like Brad Bird's cinematography, like the different angles for Elastigirl to realize that Screensaver was a trap the first time because she notices it from an angle that was the same angle that Brad Bird directed it in. Did anybody else notice that? I thought that was very clever.
Yep. It was pretty good.
I would say Brad Bird is my favorite Pixar director
Same here.
because all three, like the three of his movies, are the top of my list. So.
I mean, he is one of my just like out and out favorite directors in general. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
same here. Did you know that he was offered to direct The Force? Daniel probably knows. He was offered to direct
Yeah.
The Force Awakens
Why didn't he?
because
'cause
he
he was already-
working on.
he was already balls deep in Tomorrowland.
Well, that was a mistake.
Oh yeah.
That was so bad.
I mean, we wouldn't
It
have gotten
was
Incredibles 2 without that
Well,
bomb.
I guess I'm
All right.
grateful for Tomorrowland then, because I love Incredibles too.
Which timeline would you have chosen? The timeline where Brad Bird accepted to direct The Force Awakens, we wouldn't have Incredibles 2, and we'd have a third Tron movie. Or the timeline we're in where he directed Tomorrowland, turned down The Force Awakens, made Incredibles 2, and there's no Tron 3. Which timeline do you choose?
That one because I have no connection to Tron and I love The Incredibles and I love this movie, so.
I would pick the Brad Bird directing The Force Awakens timeline. I would sacrifice
I would.
Incredibles 2 and Tomorrowland for a Brad Bird Star Wars and Tron 3.
I'm gonna be honest. I would pick this timeline.
Really?
Yes.
So, couple of reasons. First off, I don't think Tron 3 was gonna happen just because Tron Legacy underperformed as it did.
It did, but it's my baby.
I get that. I totally see why you love that film, man. But I think Tomorrowland bombing was just an excuse for Disney to say this is why we're not doing Tron 3. I think they weren't going to do Tron 3 no matter
It
what.
was a patsy.
The reason I
Tomorrowland
say...
had a
Yeah, sorry, go. Go ahead.
Tomorrowland, from what I seem to remember, had a very strange marketing campaign.
Yeah, it was
It
an odd
was
one.
it was vague. I remember seeing the first teaser in the theater attached to something. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, that looks really cool. And I knew Brad Bird was behind it, so I obviously, big fan of his. I was like, that looks neat. I saw it and I liked it, except for the PRE stuff.
And what a disappointment it was.
Although it had something to say. Okay, every single one of Brad Bird's films, excuse me, from The Iron Giant to Incredibles 2, although I've not seen his Mission Impossible film, I've seen everything else he's done.
Well, in fairness, he didn't write his Mission Impossible film, so...
Yeah. All of that, all the films he's made have something to say.
This movie
Tomorrowland...
had a lot to say.
Tomorrowland was about our fixation. It came out in 2015 during a time where dystopian fiction was very popular. Hunger Games, Walking Dead. It was
Mad
about
Max.
Mad Max, that came out that year. The idea of utopia versus dystopia. And it felt interesting to see some, an idealistic view of the future as opposed to a dark, grim, gritty dystopian view. And as we've discussed before, Daniel and I have discussed that Brad Bird, despite accusations of such, is not a Randian objectivist.
I have an announcement.
What's your announcement?
Emily Perpetua has fallen asleep.
Aw.
Sweet dreams.
She stuck through the movie though. I think she fell asleep the last few minutes, but she was good. She was a trooper. I'm proud.
I say let her rest if she can.
We've been busy today. It's been a productive day.
Good.
Oh,
Let
she
her
woke
rest.
up a bit. Nope, she's back down. Just kidding.
Press F to pay respects.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I just realizing I didn't finish that earlier thought. The reason I also would say I prefer this timeline where he doesn't make Star Wars Episode 7. Without a doubt, it would have been a better movie than The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who does like The Force Awakens, but...
Yeah.
Without The Force Awakens being the specific movie that it was with the JJ mystery boxes and whatnot, Star Wars The Last Jedi would not have been the movie it was without The Force Awakens.
And I adore The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
That's the first of the last trilogy, right?
It's the second of the last trilogy.
Just kidding.
yeah, I kind of want to keep The Last Jedi as is.
Yeah. I'd rather even not have Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker and just have the Last Jedi. And I like...
You can't have The Last Jedi without The Force Awakens, that's the thing. Part of what makes that movie so great is how it responds to The Force Awakens.
I know, I'm just saying... Never mind.
I saw the very last one and I liked it.
Good for you, Nora.
And I've
Yep,
seen
good for
episode
you.
1. It was trash. Sorry. And
I don't think there are many episode 1 defenders out there, even the most vehement of prequel defenders. And I think Revenge of the Sith is a genuinely good movie.
I'm not. Well, I mean, okay, the first one wasn't bad. It's just I think I zoned out for 20 minutes, and
You probably didn't miss a thing though, because
no, I really didn't.
barely
They were
anything
still
happens
doing-
then.
They were doing the same stuff, and I was like, "What was the plot of this movie?" I don't
Exactly.
And tomorrow, I got about halfway into the second one, but I think I'm just gonna rewatch it, and I'll be watching the second one tomorrow. So.
Lovely. We love that.
Thank you.
Speaking of second movies,
Daniel.
Incredibles.
I've got to try to get us back on track. There's only one other production note I do want to mention before we get into actual bits about the movie itself. This film was actually originally planned to come out in 2019.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yep, and it got shuffled around. Pixar decided they needed more time on Toy Story 4, so they gave Toy Story 4 the 2019 release date, and Incredibles 2 got pushed up a full year.
That sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Brad Bird made the best film he could have under those circumstances.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was amazing.
Like,
it's not, but I do like it.
yeah, like to lose a full year of either production time or pre-production time and still have a movie come out and be, coherent and good. Like, dang, that can't be easy.
That's because Brad Bird is a queen.
He really is. Stan him.
Dan.
Yep. And he earns that queen title through Edna alone.
Yes, Edna Mode. Andrew Stanton.
You know what? Let's start the movie by talking about Edna, who is still the best character
She
all
is so
years.
the best character. She's the best character
Oh
by
my
far.
gosh, I love Edna so
Indeed.
much.
These scenes with Edna are the best part of the entire movie.
I
What
hard
I
agree.
like is that she has a reason to be in this movie. It's
Yeah, they
not just,
like throw
hey,
it.
remember Edna?
Yeah.
That was my biggest worry the first time around. I was like, is this gonna be one of those nostalgia things where we just bring
It's
Edna
not
back?
really a member berry movie. They
No,
have. I was.
This movie was very good about making allusions to the first movie, but not just throwing them in there while
Yeah.
holding
And
its own
part of
plot.
that comes from being set so soon after it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Like,
was
they're
afraid
talking
we'd
about-
get.
Get what?
Okay.
I was afraid we'd get Where's My Super Suit again, and I love Where's My Super Suit, but I was afraid we'd get it again because it's a thing we know. It'd be a, hey, remember Where's My Super Suit? We
Yeah.
get one line of Frozone's wife again, and it makes sense. It's perfectly fine. I mean, they don't linger on it too much.
I thought that was perfect because just hearing
Yeah.
her voice even makes a face, and it's just enough.
You better
Absolutely.
be back ASAP.
It was perfect.
Did you know the voice of Frozone's wife is actually Samuel L. Jackson's wife?
Really?
That's
Yeah.
oh, I love that bit even
That's
more
so
now.
cute. Aw,
Oh my gosh.
couple goals.
Oh
That's
man.
adorable.
And Frozone in this movie was so cool too.
I mean, he's
He
Frozone. He's the best character.
I mean,
He's-
he's always just the chillest dude, but my favorite
Nah.
little moment was when Winston Dever said Elastigirl's our best play, and he just gives her that little fist to the shoulder, that little playful bump.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, Frozone, how are you so cool?
Frozen is super cool, no pun intended.
Oh my gosh.
But he's
Like neither
he's a
film
good
does he have like a
babysitter, too.
character. Yeah. But like in neither film, he doesn't really have a character arc, but he doesn't need one. He's just
No.
he's already himself.
Yeah, he's great at what he does.
I mean, he's perfect. You can't improve on perfection.
Yeah, he's got himself figured out. He's fine.
Yeah, his life's going all right.
Other than his wife getting mad at him.
Seriously.
That's about it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, like all the characters are just on point.
They really are. Nora, you talked about during the first Incredibles movie, the voice acting. None of the voice actors skipped a beat for this
No.
one.
I
They're
Seriously,
all
will say,
like I could buy that this was like written and recorded like a year after the first Incredibles film.
yeah.
Because outside of Tony
Dash has a
Iverson,
different voice actor, obviously, but he sounds just like the first
I
voice
know.
actor.
wait, who is?
Dash.
I did not know that.
So
Because
I was
he was
wondering
voiced
how the same actor did it.
because he's voiced by an actual 8-year-old child in the first one.
I did not know that the second voice actor did amazing.
Yeah, didn't notice if you weren't paying attention or looking for it.
I will speak on behalf of Emily because I found this very interesting because I'm such a fan of the voice acting. She did not particularly like Elastigirl or Violet's voice.
Really?
really,
Yes, she thought they had lisps at first. I'm like, no, they're just very nasally. And she was like, no. And I was like, listen, they're amazing.
how
I
could
still
you
stand
not?
by my initial judgment that you sound a little bit like Violet.
That's probably why she didn't like Violet because she hates me.
Well, I mean, You invited her on a podcast and she just fell asleep on you.
Listen, she's had a rough
I
day.
buy it.
Don't ever judge her again. She's perfect. She's my best friend.
But
Very
she
talented. She's a very good friend.
She doesn't even know I'm talking so good about her and she's asleep. I love you. Poor.
I'm very proud of you, Emily. You're very good.
Wow. Piece of garbage.
Oh,
Just kidding. I love her.
dang. Okay. So, yeah, all our returning cast, they're really great. And I feel like there's a lot of like cool newcomers too. I really liked
Yeah.
Boyd.
Yes, she was great.
Okay. This was my only issue with the film. And it wasn't the voice acting or the characters themselves of these new superheroes. I don't know how to word this. I didn't particularly like the character design of the superheroes.
Okay.
I know they're supposed to seem like outcasts, and they did that very well. But I really would have preferred if they had just stuck doing that with their language and body movement. Like Void, you can tell she's kind of insecure when she's
And
talking to
awkward.
Elastigirl and awkward, and that's fine. But some of them seemed like it didn't fit with the other styles of the civilians you see around, or like it just seemed out of
Yeah.
place. You do not.
Well, I mean, there's some difference there. I mean, Brick is from Wisconsin, so
Yeah, that. So everyone from Wisconsin looks like Brick.
I mean,
Yeah.
they probably do. All they eat, they're a bunch of cheeseheads.
Oh.
I mean,
A
how
real
many?
apology to our Wisconsin viewers.
No, screw them. Wisconsin has a mustard museum. Okay, they don't need apologies.
Ew.
Oh.
They're all like, oh, we're from Wisconsin. Everything we eat is cheese and gravy. Go
Okay,
Packers.
Don't you know?
we're going to get blackballed. Wisconsin, I love you. You're fabulous. You are a queen. Don't listen.
Hey, I like the Packers.
Don't listen to the haters. They're just jealous. I don't know anything about Wisconsin.
Literally, all I know is cheese, Packers, gravy.
Wisconsin.
And apparently, Brick is from there.
Yep.
Yes. What a beautiful creation. And it's not that I didn't like their character design itself. It just seemed out of place.
Well, The Incredibles takes place in like this alternate quasi 1950s, 1960s world. So everything kind of has to mesh with that.
It's not 1950s or 60s.
Yeah, it is. Brad Bird said so.
It does not look like the
It's-
1950s or 60s at all.
I mean, it's 1950s retro futuristic style.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
So it's not.
But we
it's not
don't
trying to
see
invoke.
anything.
It's trying to invoke the 50s idea of the future.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really see a smartphone or anything particularly modern.
That's true. Other than their gadgets and stuff.
But that's kind of like a James Bond.
Yeah, I mean that's
thing.
futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the
Speaking of-
first Incredibles movie is not just a superhero movie, it's kind of a spy movie, too. And we do see a bit of that in this one as well.
This seemed more of a superhero movie to me in some ways.
It does
Yeah,
feel like
it-
kind of an answer to Marvel and stuff.
Yes, it seemed more superhero dynamic, and the first one seemed more James Bond to me.
And I think that might just be because of the time periods they come from.
Yeah.
If you look at the first Incredibles, it came out at a time when a lot of superhero movies didn't want to appear to be superhero movies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You had X-Men, which stripped away a lot of
Just
the
the
superhero
black
stuff.
leather instead of, you know.
You had Blade, which was going for a more action horror aesthetic. Outside of Spider-Man, you didn't really have superhero movies that.
Oh, yeah.
One-
2004 was the year in which my two favorite superhero movies came out, Spider-Man 2 and Incredibles.
It was a good year.
Very good year. No
Good-
school like
good.
the old school.
But you come
Wait, what year was
around
that?
2004.
Oh, I thought you said 2. And I was like, I was born that year, but I wasn't born 2004. I was 2.
And so you come to 2018 and you have You have like Avengers Infinity War and stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
like,
that was like a month before that. Those
yeah, so
2018ians.
so you get to a point where superhero movies are now embracing superhero-ness. So I think this movie kind of, whether he was conscious about it or not, I think Brad Bird was taking that into account.
Oh, he was very conscious about it. Some of those lines were meant to be like, "This is Elastigirl. I'm on the way." That was very ode to superhero movie.
I wonder, Daniel. I wonder what Mark Zuckerberg, the 26th, and Q6K5 would have thought of this movie.
You know,
It's a
if we
very
were
niche reference to something me and Daniel did.
we had this project, Nora, back in school where we had to make like a couple episodes of a fake show.
Yeah.
We did this show that was set in the future about the descendant of Mark Zuckerberg and his or her robot who
Yeah.
reviewed movies
Oh.
that led to the downfall of humanity.
This all came about because our professor and classmates gave me and Daniel like full creative control on this project, and so
Yeah,
we
they
holed
were
ourselves up in a room in the
they were
library for
crazy.
like
I don't know what they were thinking at
I don't know
all.
what they were thinking by letting me and Daniel come up with our flagship TV show for our newly renovated school studio.
So, was it a comedy or a drama? A dramedy?
It was a comedy and just like a film review show in general.
Originally, the robot was going to be a refrigerator.
I came up with a whole backstory for that too, and then it got
He
shut
was
down, and I was
he was played
mad.
triumphantly by Will Smith as well.
Huh.
The Will Smith that goes to our college, not
The
Will
Will
Smith.
Smith we've
Yeah,
been trying
yeah.
to get on our show for a while. Hey, Will, come join us.
I
You're still
replaced you,
here.
Will.
You did.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh,
But
no.
anyway, it was fun.
Too busy filming Aladdin.
Yeah, it's pretty fun time.
That movie.
That movie's terrible. I haven't even
It's
seen it.
terrible.
I
What's
only
the
saw-
opposite of that's hot? Yeah, that's hot.
Aladdin 2019 is how you do a remake wrong,
Yeah, that was
and
bad.
Yeah.
Really
Incredibles
bad.
2018 is how you do not a remake, but a property continuation correctly.
Well, that's the thing. As I said earlier, I'm glad this wasn't a Memberberry movie.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it was constantly focused on new ideas. I just wish they had congealed better,
Sharpened them.
What
and
do you
maybe that
mean?
extra year would have helped. But
What do you mean? Like,
Well-
conceal better?
Some of it felt kind of half-baked at times.
No!
Hey, I like this movie. I really do. Unlike Finding Dory that I didn't like.
I thought everything seemed so completed.
Well, I have issues with Evelyn in general.
Yeah.
So-
Emily did not predict Evelyn. I predicted Evelyn the first time I saw it, but I'm probably gonna mention Emily's reactions a few times in here because I found it very interesting to watch it with someone and hear the reactions. But she did not predict Evelyn, and when Evelyn like put on her glasses, she went, "Oh, no!" And I was like,
Well,
"Really? You
A
didn't?"
lot of
What
people
was-
at my theater did too,
Yeah.
and I was like,
actually predicted
guys, really?
Evelyn.
I was like,
that's
have you
what-
seen one of these before?
That's
It was-
what I said.
it
I'm
was
like-
so telegraphed, but that wasn't really my problem. Like, I'm fine with predicting what the villain's gonna be ahead of time. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I just feel
This
like
is coming-
Evelyn's plans and motivations are odd.
I thought it was interesting her motivations were rooted in her father's death, but at the same time, it is
I
kind
thought
of
it was
weak.
fascinating.
So she's trying to make superheroes, forever illegal, basically.
Yes.
And she's doing that by building them up so she can knock them down again.
But
Yes.
they were already knocked down. Why just
Like,
stick to the status quo?
like the first,
Because they're starting to come back.
but not really. Like,
Yeah.
here's the thing: in the first sequence of the movie, the whole Underminer fight goes wrong, and the
Yeah, they
superheroes,
lose.
their
Well-
public opinion goes down for them.
I agree that doesn't make much sense, but I'm guessing if I was Evelyn seems a little irrational and slightly crazed with her idea of revenge for her parents because it seems like it probably had a great impact on her upbringing and etc. And she probably wanted to be the one responsible for the epic downfall of superheroes, and she wanted to ensure that they never come back because they almost did, and some people still like them, but I would guess she wanted everyone to hate them, and she wanted to be the one able to do that.
I mean, I do think it's interesting how the film is a commentary on media, and that
Oh my
she
gosh.
deliberately.
Yeah.
It's not like this says a lot about our society, and yet we live in one like thing. It actually has something to say. I think using the sort of 50s, 60s backdrop to reflect our modern society, it is fascinating.
This movie had a lot to say. You were saying that earlier, how Brad Bird's films had a lot to say. This one had so much. I'm bringing up Emily again because she actually hadn't seen Incredibles, the first one, so I explained the plot to her.
Oh.
But I think she had seen the second one before, but it was like maybe when it came out or something like that, and she didn't remember. Or well, no, maybe not. Maybe she had seen I don't even know if she saw any of these, but because she didn't know Evelyn was the villain, I don't know what she saw. But wait, what were we talking about? Oh,
Themes.
she was saying we're watching the movie. She was like, "This is dark. Like this is mature," and I was like, "Yeah,
The words hell and damn are in this movie
They do the swears. Oh no.
in a PG-rated film.
Is she was surprised there were guns and things.
Oh yeah, real guns
Yeah.
with bullets.
She was surprised
Yeah,
with that.
they portray a murder. They don't show him getting shot, but they come pretty close.
And I told her about, well, a guy tried to commit suicide in the first one.
Yeah. Brad Bird's movies have teeth, and I think on Twitter people were asking him, why did you include bad language words in a kids movie? And Brad Bird responded saying he didn't make this as a kids movie. He made it as a movie that was appropriate for kids to watch, but he made it for adults in mind first.
And also, let's be real, kids be swearing way worse than a few dams.
Yeah.
I love that his movies are for everyone. That's what I told Emily. I said these movies are for everyone, or they're made to be.
Yeah. I think I said during the Cars 2 episode that Cars 2 was Pixar's first and maybe only movie just for kids.
Yeah, because I feel like
like
who's the good dinosaurs for? I guess me.
You. I was literally about to say you, and only you. Maybe two other weirdos.
I think that's my main issue with Cars, because I enjoy watching Cars, but it's targeted towards kids.
Although the amount of gun violence in Cars 2 and
But
on-screen deaths, that if they were humans, it'd probably be R-rated.
Yeah, I had an issue with the car deaths in Car 2. There's a lot of car casualties.
I mean, if you had Cars 2 as just replace all the car models with people, it would be rated R.
I just said that.
Yeah, like you were saying.
That is a James Bond movie, except not good.
It was a James Bond knockoff movie that you find on that one shelf at Walmart that has Larry the Cable Guy on the front of it, and you know to stay away from it.
I was still entertained.
Yeah, but Incredibles 2, it definitely
It's good.
It holds to the first one's idea of like, you know, we made a movie, and it's appropriate for kids, but this is something that anyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably wrong. It's the first sequel of a movie that I loved, like love. I love The Incredibles, that I thought was of the same caliber. But that's
really
just me. Yes. Because okay, and I know Toy Story 2. Don't get me wrong. It's just Toy Story isn't like one of my ultimate favorites, but I love Toy Story. It's just I enjoyed and there's not really much reason for it other than I just enjoy the story of Incredibles more.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
Because I still think, I don't know where it's ranked right now, but Toy Story 3 is in my top 5.
Yeah. When we get to 4 next week, There's a lot to say about that one that I'm
Yeah,
still not really sure about.
yeah. And I think it's
It'll be
also because
interesting.
I grew
Have
up
you?
with The Incredibles. I didn't grow up with Toy Story.
Okay. I mean, I grew up with both, so but at different stages, I guess.
I
Yeah, it was
struggle to
just,
think.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna. I struggle to think of any sequel that I feel was of an equal caliber to its original.
The Empire
Like, I,
Strikes Back, The Dark Knight,
well,
Spider-Man
here's the
2.
thing. Like, I would say Dark Knight, Spider-Man 2, Empire, they're better than their first ones. I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Okay. Yeah. Oh.
but
Okay.
like,
It,
I'm trying to think of like a sequel to a film that is solely on par, like of a
Was that an
comparable.
Incredibles pun?
that,
Quite.
that's what I think Incredibles is, though, because usually it's either far better or far worse.
Okay. I was just looking at my letterbox. I found one film. That's
Kung
it.
Fu Panda 2.
No, I would say that one's better than its first.
How to Train Your Dragon 2, better than the first.
Yeah.
I don't remember How to Train Your Dragon 2.
It's not very memorable. It's just better than the first.
Well, I never
That's
was. I
my
liked
opinion on it.
I mean, I liked one, right? But I was never super into it. I just remember I saw the first one way more than I saw the ones after. I don't even. I think maybe I saw one of the other ones after once. How many are there now? I swear there's like
3.
50.
It's a trilogy.
Three.
There's only 3. I swear there's like 50.
There's like
Well,
a ton of
there's a bunch of
Netflix
TV.
shorts and spin-offs.
Oh.
Yeah, the only film I can think of that's on par with its predecessor would be the sequel to Kurosawa's Yojimbo, which is Sanjuro.
Okay.
Oh, I know one
But-
that's on par with its original. Despicable Me 2.
Get out of here. Get out of here, Illumination. Ew.
I mean,
I love
I think
Despicable Me.
the first
Mentioning
one's
Illumination
better.
on a Pixar podcast is like talking about McDonald's on a show about fine dining.
I love Despicable Me.
Like, sure, you can eat it. It is technically food, but
You don't like Despicable Me?
I don't like anything Illumination craps
Or
out.
you don't like Girls?
Okay,
The first
He's-
Despicable Me is an entertaining family film,
it's
and
half decent.
nothing else they've done has really piqued my interest.
I like the second one. The third one's but the second one's good.
Well, I mean, I think
like
we can
The
all agree
Incredibles far better
Incredibles
than-
2, yeah, better than Despicable Me 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a little more depth and meaning to it than the Minions.
And
Well,
also
that's the thing.
also the action sequences in this film are far superior.
I think we missed the let's discuss our own personal experiences of this movie thing, but I feel like that's more in tune with the first movie, which you've already done.
I have a personal experience with the second one.
Okay.
Go for it.
I actually went to see it twice. The first
did too.
time, because I loved it. But the first time was with Gideon, and
Oh.
when Evelyn was revealed that she was a villain, I whispered to him, "I knew it." And he was like, "Good for you," and I was like, "Thank you." And the second time was with my grandma in Alabama, who actually was the one that would play Incredibles for me all the time when I was in the
Oh.
car. But I think we went. No, we might
Lord.
not have gone to the beach to see it, but I really enjoyed seeing it with her, so that was very special and fun.
The beach. I need to get away. I need to change of scenery. I need to go do something.
Yeah. Well, I'll go to the beach.
I could do
with
my
her.
30 minutes to the beach. That's the benefit of living near the coast.
Oh yeah, my mom went to school near where you are, and that was one of her favorite things too.
Oh,
I
I just
almost
need
said
something
the
to do.
location.
I'm very
almost
bored.
said the location, but I didn't.
But I also am afraid of leaving the house, so
Well, whose fault is that?
my anxieties.
Oh,
Yeah, screw your anxiety. That guy's
screw
awful.
'em.
And depression.
We will.
Yeah,
drag
your
you out
depression's
of it.
also a trash person. Screw
Who is?
him.
Who?
You need to cut them loose, Jaren.
Get him out of there. Out.
My brain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remove it.
is
You
this an
gotta
Inside
remove-
Out reference?
Dang it, I was just about to make a pun reference, Darren, and you stole my thunder.
You just have 2 extra emotions in your head, and you just need to throw them into the dump.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you need to deal with it from the inside out. And you stole my thunder.
Or your lightning. Chow.
Wow.
That was
So-
incredible.
Coming back around.
Pretty good buzz from that joke.
I guess the closest thing I can think of to like personal connection wise, like I spent the months like leading up to this film just kind of reasoning with myself because I knew this was
Yep.
never going to live up to
Mm-hmm.
what I
You and I
want.
talked about it.
I mean, we're
But
talking
it
about
did.
Nora, we're
Not
talking
quite.
about my 3rd favorite movie of all
Of
time.
all time.
Like it would be impossible to live up to the expectations in my head. And I knew that going in. Like it could never give me the feelings the first one gave me. Just because the first one was so entrenched in my being.
And childhood nostalgia aside, the first one is a classic for a reason.
Yes, that too. So
See,
I
that's what happened to me.
I spent some time grappling with just the fact that I'll probably like it. I can't imagine it'll be better than the first. I shouldn't get my hopes up for that.
No, I know I said in my very first podcast that I might like the sequel better, but I retract that statement, and only because I just hadn't seen Incredibles the original in a while. But I genuinely thought the second one was pretty on par with the first.
But
And
it's-
I like both a lot. I mean, I would rank the first probably better, of course, but
because it is better.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the original. It's a classic, but I think this one's pretty close. And I think it's a good sequel. And I think it's a good sequel because Incredible sets it up where there could actually be a sequel instead
Yeah,
of
totally.
just making up some random plot that, like, they're. I hate it when movies do that. When a random sequel is just pulled out of, like, Finding Dory, that was its issue. A random sequel is pulled out of midair. It didn't need a sequel. But Incredibles, you can make a sequel. Heck, you could even make a third one. I'm not saying it necessarily needs to happen, but you could.
You could. It doesn't mean you should, but
I
still would
would-
probably
So-
see it.
I
If-
it, and I bet it would be good.
So, if I have to argue with you, Nora, about why I don't think this one is quite on par with the first,
Yeah.
I will point to the editing as one of the strongest things.
Really?
Yeah, so the way scenes are cut together, the way we go from our big superhero plot line with Helen to our, mundane slice of life stuff with Bob, I don't think it flows very well at all.
Really? I loved that. I thought it was a nice, like, drastic shift.
Yeah, I don't think
Eh,
I don't think these scenes lead well into each other. Like you have Helen saving an ambassador from a helicopter crash, and then we just kind of cut to Bob on the couch watching a show about his car.
I guess
yeah.
that's true. I never
Like
thought of that.
I struggle to put these scenes like in order because it feels like the family stuff could happen in almost any order and could be shuffled and rearranged around.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I just sort of thought they were happening simultaneously, or like right one after another. I didn't have an
Well, that's
issue
the
with it, but
idea. It's just
I wasn't looking for it though, so I didn't have an issue with it. But I agree when I think about it. It just didn't bother me while I was watching. I guess because I liked all those scenes so much, I didn't have an issue.
I mean, I like them too. I think a lot of the family stuff with Bob, which he didn't really get too much of in the first film, I do love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
really did like the concept of the role reversal of the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very nice.
I also really like that, like, Bob never denigrates family work because he thinks it's beneath him.
No,
He's just
a
bad
good
at
dad.
it.
Yeah.
He's just not super
His
good at it.
heart's in the right place. He clearly loves his children. You know what? That's one thing I really love about this movie is that it doesn't do the whole thing of, oh, he's the dad. He doesn't care. All he wants to do is sit on the couch and drink beer. No, he tries his best. He's not perfect at it, but he sure does try, and he does care. Because I think dads are really important. Because I want to be one day, and I want to be a good one. And I have a really good one, a really great one, dare I say?
This man relearns math so he can help his son with his homework.
Yeah, that was really. I like that scene a lot.
Like-
That was a super dad.
He tries very hard. And again, I like all these scenes. I just feel like they could have been their own separate short film.
Yeah.
Wouldn't matter too much for the plot of this movie.
I think they are necessary for the plot of the movie just because that's the kind of dynamic they're going for, is to see how the family develops while Helen's away. But maybe they could have edited better, and I think that's the 1 year
Yeah,
cut
'cause
that probably
Like-
determined that.
I'll be honest, I skimmed over them a lot in the actual like summary I did because I can't place those scenes like where they would come in relation to the Helen story.
They're more like little vignettes. If
And I watched this movie today, and
I
didn't feel
enjoyed
confident
those
doing
scenes
that.
the most, though. They're my favorite parts. Because they
They're
add
fine.
on here. What they do well is, I think if they had more time, they could have made this consistent through the movie, is moments like where Dash calls Helen while she's on the moped trying to chase down the train. And
Oh,
they
and his
kind of
shoes are
combine
missing.
the two. Yeah, and he's like, Mom, I can't find my sneakers, or whatever it is. That was
Dad
really
said not to call you, but he doesn't know where they are.
Yeah. If not that I didn't know they were cut back a year, but I think that if they had the full year, they could have made the movie consistently connected like that.
Oh,
And the
for
scenes
sure.
with Bob aren't bad by any means. They're
They're
actually really
okay
great. I
for
think
the
they're
movie.
they're quite funny. The scene in the restaurant with Violet shooting water out of her nose, classic. It is a meme for a reason.
Violet is the most relatable thing I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like we haven't talked about the characters very much.
No.
Well, on the
Because-
subject of Violet, I hate how this film just kind of leaves off with her relationship with Tony hasn't grown because he gets his memory wiped.
Yeah.
So-
You and I discussed this a little after the movie came out, Daniel. I remember.
Yeah,
An idea we had is that instead of a random pizza guy being the fake screenslaver, it could have been Tony or like his dad or something.
Tony's too young though.
The other guy didn't look much older.
He was like in his
well, the thing is,
20s.
Tony's in junior high. Do you think he could
Yeah.
put up a fight against Elastigirl?
Yeah, he would lose.
Fair
very
enough.
fast.
Like, I feel like
Okay.
Tony would get his shit stomped.
If Violet was older, then that would be interesting.
Well-
like they're married.
Therein lies another thing. My initial hope, when they announced they're actually making Incredibles 2, was I was hoping they would do what they did with Toy Story 3 and have the actual real-world passage of time affect the movie and have Violet Dash and Jack Jack all be teenagers or like young adults, and have it be about Bob and Helen aging and, you know,
I don't
Or
think I
being-
would have liked that.
really.
No, because I love those original characters, and I feel like that personally watching that, I would have thought, oh, they just didn't have the same voice actors, even if that wasn't true.
They kept the same voice actor for Violet.
Yeah, like, but I just would have thought, oh, they didn't get the same voice actors, so they had to make them older.
Well, I mean, I feel like, Craig Nelson and all of them, they could have just done older voices. I don't think that would have been
Yeah.
that hard for them.
I
And
think
even referencing
that
what I
would-
mentioned a second ago, in Toy Story 3, the voice of Andy is the same kid from 1 and 2.
Yeah, see, but I think they could do that with an Incredibles 3. I think you need the sequel to prove
Oh, I
that
was
you
about
could-
to say that.
I think they even did that in Toy Story 2. You need the sequel to prove that you can keep that timeline going with a different story and make it successful. Then jump ahead in the future to see if audiences are still interested. I'd love to see that with Incredibles 3, not Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
I do feel like the way this movie leads off, I do feel like Incredibles 3 is poised for greatness. Because now we don't have to deal with the superhero stuff being secret anymore, and that opens a lot of doors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really want an Incredibles 3 now.
I wouldn't mind it. I could do without it. If I knew it would never happen, I would be okay with it. But if they did, I'd certainly see it and be
But
excited
that's
for it.
saying a lot because I've never wanted a sequel before or anything. I've never desired for that unless it was something like a trilogy series that's meant, or something like Harry Potter, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like something that's meant to have more.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying I've never like loved a movie and been like, ooh, I want a sequel. I've never thought that except for this. I want a third one.
Okay. Oh, come to think of it, I'm not really sure I've ever done that as well. Aside from Tron, but that's because they left that open for a third movie, and they said
Right.
it was already announced.
I think it's just the fact that these movies allow for sequels to happen.
And these are just really great characters too.
They are.
I love all of them so
They're all
much.
very distinct and they're all relatable to someone no matter what. There's no just kind of, other than maybe Frozone or something, but that's because we love Frozone anyway. And the core family characters, at least, you can pinpoint something out of them, but maybe not
Yeah.
Jack yet, but he'll
I mean,
get there.
I
Here's
worried I
this-
was going to be annoyed by Jack in this film the first time I saw it, because I
That he
usually
was going to
find...
be a little minion baby.
Yeah, I was worried baby hijinks, because I usually don't like those, but not it was all pretty funny and good, so I was down
Jack
for it.
and Edna were the best parts of this movie. Like,
Yeah.
For real, though.
for hands
Just-
down.
According,
When she's about to
According-
catch him, but she just sees him floating, she's just...
Can we talk
Yes!
about fat baby Jack? That was so cute. He was so large.
But his face was so tiny.
yeah.
That was Gideon's favorite line. We quote it quite frequently. Oh my god, yes! Oh, that was so funny.
Can we just
According
get like
to
an
the-
Edna movie?
There's
I-
apparently a short.
Well,
on
yeah, there's a
Disney
short
Plus.
of her playing with Jack and all, but
Oh, there was a moment in this movie that made me jump out of my seat, happiness. When she's demonstrating Jack's new suit, and they use Mozart's Ronda alla Turca as the background music, and
I knew you'd get
I had-
excited about that.
well, yeah, I'm a pianist, but also that's one of the
Oh, I
pieces
know.
that's one of the pieces I had to learn building my repertoire like a long while ago, probably like 3-4, maybe 3-ish
Did you play
years
piano
ago.
at my bar mitzvah?
Oh yeah, sure. Like maybe 4 years ago, but the dynamic shift they did with that, it goes, I don't know if you noticed it, but when he catches on fire, it moves to the B section, which is the da 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 da, da, and it's in forte and it's more noticeable, and I loved it. I was like, yes, Mozart, we stand. I was very happy. It was beautiful, and I can't believe I forgot about it somehow, even though it was like my favorite part when I first saw it the first 2 times, and I rewatched it tonight and I went, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. It was so good.
On the
Yeah.
topic of music, Michael Giacchino does a fantastic score for this.
Oh, he's so good.
oh my gosh.
And this
So
might
good.
be dating the episode a little bit, but the first costume reveal for The Batman came out a couple days ago, and Michael Giacchino is scoring that film, and he provided the first little bit of his Batman theme, and oh my gosh, it sounds like the sounds of heaven, and I love it. Michael Giacchino is a fantastic composer.
I mean, he's done both of my favorite scores for Pixar, the first Incredibles and Inside Out. So it's just,
Yeah, and Up. He won Oscar for Up.
oh yeah, the Up one is good too. Just my personal faves. Give me
Yeah.
that.
Okay, yeah.
They did something that they did in the first movie as well. Everything they brought back from the first movie was great, but their ending sequence, they do kind of that 2D cutout animation, but they also
Oh, it's
do
beautiful.
Well,
Oh,
they
yeah.
also do this in Ratatouille. I think it's just like a Brad Bird signature that each moment, like it'll say like lighting design, and it'll say like the name, and it'll match the images that are happening, or sound design. There'll be like a
Yeah.
sound effect that's happening, and it goes with each name, and I love that. I just love the syncrasy of it. It makes my
I mean,
soul
he got
happy.
his start in 2D animation, so
Oh, it's just the fact that it lines up with the names and expresses what they did. I think that's a great
It's
little
really good.
tribute to each person that worked very hard on this film in a
That's
very
something that
yes.
colorful
a lot of
sequence.
Leica films do as well.
Yes.
It's I do enjoy watching credits just for that.
Yes, I really do think it is enough, because I don't think people in animation get enough credit for all the hard work they do
They
Girl,
don't.
you
behind the
right.
scenes.
You
Like
right.
the set design, the lighting, the score. Well, the score gets a little more attention, but even those like prop master, because you don't necessarily think prop master for an animation film. You think actual tangible props, but no, that's very important. And mm, they need more love and attention because they do so much hard and good work for these films. And I think that's a little bit of a tribute that they need, is that they get those spot on moments at the end. Of course, they need way more, but it's a nice start.
And another Brad Bird signature, starting his films in very intriguing ways. So
Yes.
we had the interviews with the first one. We had the TV of Anton Ego's review in Ratatouille, and
Mhm.
we have Tony Reidinger's interrogation, letting us kind of bounce between the beginning of the movie and later on,
Yeah,
which
and it's a
is
callback to the short Jack Jack Attack.
Mhm.
also really good. I was glad to see that kind of make a
I love Jack
resurgence.
Jack Attack. That's just smart directing, because it's a director's job to pull audiences in the beginning, or writer's job, either or. But you know who also did that, or is very good at doing that in their works? That would be William Shakespeare.
Oh, yes.
Yes, he writes his plays intentionally to grab your attention, specifically in the beginning for the Elizabethan crowd. Thank you.
Yes,
That was
the
your theater fact.
illiterate Elizabethan crowd.
That was your theater fact for the day.
Theater fact today. I love theater.
Yes.
I miss it so.
Mm.
Oh, wait, I'm assistant directing a show.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I kind of want to. There's one moment with Evelyn I thought was a really good character moment for her, which she kind of needed more of, but
Yeah.
I thought there were very
it's
two strong moments for her, actually, but I'll let you say yours first.
okay. So it's when she had Elastigirl in the ice chamber, which I'm really, I was really impressed that they actually like thought of a weakness for stretching. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What's
anyway, the
your
whole,
excuse? You run out of muscle?
but basically, the moment when she was like, "Why did you even trust me? We don't know each other." Like, dang,
That's
girl.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, like pointing out the fact that you didn't even have to do much to earn her trust. Like,
Yeah.
savage.
She doesn't believe in the whole superheroes do morally good, etc.
Well,
Like, she
no,
even says
that's
that at the end.
antithetical
Like,
to her entire plan.
just because you saved me doesn't make you a good guy. She doesn't believe in that you do good just for good. She thinks there has to be a reason in it.
Yeah. You
Which,
don't need a reason to help people.
which brings me to my two strong points. I think both times Evelyn has a conversation with Helen, like where they sit down and they're drinking cocktails, those moments are very deep and
Yeah.
mature for children's films. They're talking about consumerism, how the market portrays advertisement when really they're selling different products, how people are simple minded and they present what they see, and people want, she says, people want ease. They don't want to have to
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
And
people
I love that.
live
That it
life.
isn't. It doesn't just devolve into we live in a society, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no. It
not
also
not
is,
many kids' films would really even try to have a scene like that.
yeah.
And I feel
But
like,
that's because, in Brad Bird's own words, it's not a kid's film.
yep.
But yeah, those scenes are very smart. I also like kind of how they represent women in the workplace too. Everything Helen
Yes,
does
yeah.
in this movie is great. How I love her line, "We can't just leave the men to do the work. Are you kidding me? No," or whatever she says.
Yeah, from the first movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but they allude to it in the second one because it's on the back of the TV when Frozone's there and they're trying to look to Jack, and he says, "Mama," and that's the line she's saying
Yeah.
at the TV. I was like, thank you for including that line again because that was beautiful. No, she's great. And
There's some good feminism in this movie.
those moments they have together is kind of like them breaking down the workplace and what you have to do to get ahead.
Yeah.
Like how her brother's the front of the company and he gives people what he wants, but really people need this, but people don't like to look at that. And this movie is very deep in those themes, and I find that very interesting.
I really do like this, and actually, the more I think about it, the more I like it better, which is often the opposite of how these things work.
It's a very thought out movie. I know maybe some of like the editing, like Daniel said, which is actually like a really good point that I didn't think about, was probably shortcutted, but I'm guessing that's because of the 1 year jump they had. But the story behind it and the plots and points they made, I think are very well thought out.
Yeah, I mean, I do think for some of the problems, it could have used that extra year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about this more next week. I do wonder which film needed it more.
I like this movie way
Yeah.
better than Toy Story 4, and I like Toy Story 4, but I like this movie way better.
Yeah. I'm just saying in terms of sheer quality of writing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but there are parts of Toy Story 4 that do feel a little, dare I say, incomplete.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I
not
will find out
finished in some ways.
myself in a week, you guys.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet. I keep forgetting.
I've been holding off for this podcast. Don't make me break now.
Sorry. It's not bad. It's really not.
It's good.
Nope,
It
too
really
late.
is good.
Too late. You've already built up an expectation.
There should be no expectation. It is good, and it's not a disappointment to the series.
No,
So
not
just
at
go
all.
in expecting nothing.
Wait, do you know any spoilers of it?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
I know
You know.
Loki comes back.
You know who?
Oh! You don't know the ending. Okay.
No, I know more than I should, but it's okay.
I mean, so did I, but I still liked it. The ending got leaked for me like the week it came out.
Don't leak it for him though, because I know what that's like. There was a play, it was Dear
Oh,
Evan
Nora,
Hansen.
it's okay. Spoilers have become less important to me over time.
And
Well,
honestly, when it comes to spoilers, I think if I know the ending to something, that doesn't really ruin it for me because I think often the experience is figuring out how you get to the ending.
yeah.
So, going back to Star Wars, back around like September of this past year, the entire plot for The Rise of Skywalker got leaked. And I read it thinking, because I always read the fake leaks because they're often really funny and they're rarely ever true. However, like beat for beat, it was correct. When I saw the movie, I was like, oh, we're really doing this, aren't we? So I'm not sure if that colored the experience in a more positive way or a more negative way, but it is interesting knowing months beforehand that I knew beat for beat what the plot was going to be, even though I thought it was fake.
Yeah, well, Daniel, I had forgotten that you hadn't seen Toy Story 4. And let me tell you, I had an experience, and I was real proud of myself. There's this play. It's called Dear Evan Hansen. It's mega uber popular.
Never heard of it.
You've never heard of Dear Evan Hansen?
I'm messing with you, of course.
Okay. Well, when it came out, I wanted to see it so badly. I knew I would see it eventually. Part of the ending is a little predictable, but like I avoided listening to most songs except for two of maybe its most popular and hearing a little bit of others. And I avoided all people. I said if someone was playing Dear Evan Hansen, I'd say turn it on, and that is hard because I'm a theater kid. it was very hard, and it finally toured, and I went to see it, and it was so worth avoiding everyone's Dear Evan Hansen information, because I never cried so hard watching a theater thing. I bawled my eyes out. It was beautiful. Hit too close to home, but I was beautiful. I bawled. It was good. So
Hey, kid.
Good for
no
you.
one talk about Toy Story 4. He needs to
Kid.
experience it.
You, kid. Never
Yeah?
change.
Thank you. It was a lot of hard work. Emily would keep trying to play it to bother me, and I'd scream at her with love. She's so sleepy. She's so asleep.
Poor
She's
Emily.
probably having dreams about
Pixar.
these incredibly nerdy discussions.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to be as big of a nerd as...
She's dreaming about Brad Bird's episode 7.
Well, she just doesn't like sitting through movies, but she liked it.
Okay.
She's a theater nerd.
She is. She's very talented.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so
I
tempted
still-
to like, poke her in her sleep, but I won't.
My brain still recalls, I think this is dumb every now and then.
Oh.
That was a show. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I have never had a theater going experience quite like that, and I doubt I ever will.
I think this is dumb. Let's just get along.
That's my mood, like, most of the time.
That was a very interesting show.
It was fantastic. I was cackling the whole time.
Thank you. Anyway, Incredibles 2.
I had
Yep.
The theater going
Yeah.
experience I had with Incredibles 2 was
Okay.
My audience was pretty good overall.
No, mine was like loud and stuff. This all goes along with my I hate going to the movies thing.
I think both times I was there, I don't even remember.
Okay.
that.
Oh yeah, I did see it twice.
Yeah,
First
I don't...
screening. Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you go. You go.
No, you.
No, you.
Daniel,
Fine.
you.
I'll go.
Okay.
No, I'm staying out of it.
But
Sorry, it's getting too heated.
no,
No, it was
You're being
politeness.
polite.
Yeah.
It was courtesy, Daniel. Well, now I feel bad going. You go, Jaren.
No, you're the lady. You go.
Chivalry's so dead, but okay. Dub. I can't remember what we were talking about now. Oh,
The movie
theaters.
going experience.
My movie-going experience, I don't remember the audience, but what I was shocked, because I had never seen it, like, DVD or at home, because I don't think I've seen it since I saw it twice in the movie theaters, but, the scene where Elastigirl is fighting, it's Screensaver, right?
Slaver.
Screenslaver.
Which is bizarre because it is like a 1950s, 1960s thing, and it's obviously meant to evoke screensaver, like a thing from a computer.
Well, I guess
Anyway,
it's
back to-
futuristic.
Yeah.
But Screenslaver, I think. That experience was so much different than the movie theater, because when I was in the movie theater, it was very in your face and large, and I remember being very scared in that scene because I don't like horror movies. But like the first time I was watching, I was with Gideon. I had like my hands over my eyes and like looking through the cracks because I was scared there was going to be like a jump scare where he like pops out, and he sort of did. I think I yelled. I think I did
Well,
yell.
there had to be an
and-
epilepsy warning for that scene, actually.
Oh yeah, I heard they had to have a recall because they didn't have a big enough warning for it, and some kid
Yeah.
suffered from epilepsy. No, I could see why. That was very large, and I remembered it being longer because it was so in your face and very flashy and scary, and I was like, this is very mature for a children's film. And but then I watched it at home, and I was like, Emily, this part is scary, and she was like, I'm scared, and she was slightly scared, but not really. I think she just said that because me.
She
But
wanted to make you feel better.
yes, she did. But I was like, I remember this so much scarier and so much larger, but I guess that was because it was on a 50-foot screen. But
Yeah.
so I think that scene is specifically better in theaters.
I wanted to discuss on the topic of the movie-going experience for this film. I wanted to discuss the short, since last week we discussed a little bit of the Olaf short. Um,
Good old Bow.
I loved Bao, but
Oh, that was so good.
this all ties
Oh,
back into my I hate going to the movies diatribe. People were very confused when Bao started, and I was like, have you guys not been to a Pixar movie before? I'm sure you have if you're here. But you do know there's a short film before, right? And also you do know what symbolism and metaphor are, right? And you do know what Asian people are, right?
Oh no.
Damn. Yeah. My only notes on Bao, just real fast. Love the
So
short.
quit.
Absolutely adorable.
Yeah. My
Its
message to people
director-
after that is don't be racist and don't be unaware of tradition
Well,
in Pixar movies.
so its director, Dami Shi, she's
We
actually
stand.
directing an upcoming Pixar film.
Yeah, Queen, we love her. Stan.
And oh my gosh, I could not be more excited.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
What film?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We just know it's one of the upcoming ones. I think maybe in 2022, or
Yeah.
maybe
Hey,
2023.
Randall.
22.
But like we have no information on it, but I just know she's directing and writing it, and I want it.
Gosh, I'll be 26 that year.
Wait, how?
Age.
It's 2020
feel
and you're
like-
23.
I turned 24 in August, kid.
Wow.
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 Well, so
Wait a minute.
Wait,
Hang
on.
you're 22? I'll be 20.
I'll be 20. Oh my goodness, my half birthday is in 4 days. If I was
Oh.
supposed to celebrate a...
oh no.
Imagine celebrating half birthdays.
I love my birthday. I should start doing that.
Yes, I was there on your birthday last year.
I make it a birth month experience.
We were...
I make it a birth
we
year
were-
experience. Thank
We were at a Chinese restaurant waiting to find a table, and there was a long line at the payphone. Oh wait, that's just Seinfeld. We all were at a Chinese restaurant on your birthday, though.
We were. It was really good.
Yeah, it was great.
It was.
I couldn't resist the Seinfeld Chinese restaurant reference, though.
It was very sweet though, but I make everyone very aware when my birthday's coming up because I love my birthday.
She was
And I
wearing
got
like a crown thing.
I got a bunch of random little gift things that day because everyone knew it was my birthday, and it was wonderful. It was the sweetest thing ever. Like someone brought me Chick-fil-A fries, and I was like, "You people are so sweet." Emily surprised me. She decorated my whole locker. Had everyone greet me when I came in. It was beautiful.
I hate my birthday. I hate like being.
you. Okay.
I love it. There was a
You're just
pinata
talking
in my
about celebrating
locker.
your half birthday, and now it's just
No. I said imagine celebrating half birthdays. I was being diminishing of it.
Wow.
The less attention I draw to my day of birth, the possible.
No, I love it. I got some flowers. There was a pinata in my locker. There were balloons
What?
everywhere. Yeah.
I straight up the day before my birthday last year, I straight up forgot my birthday was the next day. I just
Oh,
got
no.
it out of my mind so much. I was like, wait a minute.
I did that in kindergarten, Jaren.
Are you comparing my emotional intelligence to that of a kindergartner?
No.
yes, she is.
Never.
I don't eat glue.
I didn't eat glue.
I bet you did.
I did not. I was a distinguished kindergartner, thank you. I always tried to be the teacher's favorite. so.
At least you weren't me in kindergarten screaming and crying.
No, in kindergarten, I got sick on Valentine's Day, but I stuck through it because I was the line leader that day, and we were getting Valentine's, but I should have gone home because I took a bite of a Debbie cake, turned around, and threw up in front of everyone.
Oh.
Way to go.
Oh,
Thank you.
Valentine's Day was this past week.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I didn't do anything for it. I just, yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked.
I
We
worked
just did
too.
normal stuff we did at school. Gideon was sick, though, so we're redoing our
boy.
Valentine's Day tomorrow by watching Star Wars and eating pizza.
Very good. I'm very proud.
Thank you. I'm
So,
excited.
I think we're coming to the end of our discussion, mostly because we're not discussing the movie anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And also, it's been an hour and a half.
I feel like we've said all that really needs to be said about this. I like it. It's really good.
We want to do our final thoughts real fast?
Yeah. I'll just quote my Letterboxd review. What did I say? I'm that guy. I should quote my Letterboxd review. My review was, it would be unfair to assume this would be on the same level of the first, but it's hard not to do so. However, it's still pretty decent.
Nice. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Edna Mode is still by far the best character, and
Queen.
Jack somehow, from coming from the first movie, kind of getting on my nerves because I think he scared me when he turned into a demon, and now in the second movie, turning into one of my favorite characters is amazing. And shout out to Mozart for being a queen and showing up in this movie.
Mozart makes baby smart.
We love Mozart.
All right.
All right, Danny boy.
My final thoughts. I wish I mentioned it earlier, but whenever Violet, Elastigirl, or Void were in an action sequence, it was the most creative stuff ever.
Oh, yes.
10 out of 10.
Yes, my goodness, yes.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't talk about the action sequences at all. They were very well done, very well executed,
Yes.
and cinematography was
Better than really any Marvel or DC movie.
Oh, I found
In
the
general,
songs more interesting.
this movie is just a whirlwind of fun. Could have used another pass at the screenplay, but oh well.
Oh well. What
I'm
we got was
excited
still
for
pretty
Brad
solid.
Bird's musical.
His what?
Brad Bird's doing a musical.
Is he really?
Is?
Yep.
Daniel tried to cut out my ending song, but I threw a temper tantrum and said no. Helen's chaotic good, Bob's chaotic. Wait, no, Helen's lawful good, Bob's chaotic good. You can argue with me, but your opinion's trash. Incredible 2 was very good, and Jack and Edna are the best. Thank you.
Good night.